So during the offseason, Paul George signed a 4-year, $212 million max contract with the 76ers. This was one of the biggest moves in free agency, and a lot of people were talking. Because of this move, a lot of people thought that Philadelphia was now going to be one of the teams to beat down in the Eastern Conference. But now, at the time of recording this video, they are currently 15-22, just 11th in the East. Now, in fairness, I will say this. Philadelphia has dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Jared McCain, the guy who should have won the Rookie of the Year, is out for the rest of the season. Joel Embiid, who's always out, is currently out right now with an injury. But the biggest handicap of them all is their third option. Their third option is just a really expensive podcaster. Okay, look, all jokes aside, Paul George has been terrible this year. I know I talked about it in the intro, but that man got paid, what, $212 million? All to be a guy who can't even average 17 points per game and is becoming a distraction because of the stupid shit that you say. The thing is, I was going to ignore the record because the Sixers are 7 games under 500, but I'm understanding. But then I thought about it and I'm like, wait a minute, they do have Tyrese Maxey, who's been healthy for a majority of the season and he's doing well, averaging 26 a game. Kelly Oubre, he stepped up, averaging about 13 points per game. But Paul George, what the fuck are you doing? The crazy thing is, if Jared McCain wasn't injured, then Paul George would be the 4th option on this team. And some nights he might even be the 5th option because of Kelly Oubre. But why is this man so bad? Why is he underperforming the way he is? And should Philadelphia try to move on from this man as soon as possible? The one thing that a lot of people are going to bring up, whether it's in a joking matter or a serious matter, is the podcast. Welcome to Podcast Pete. Like, I hate that intro. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't usually care about a player having a podcast. It seems like everyone has a podcast these days, so I'm not even gonna say it's that big of a deal. I know a lot of people say, oh, he's more focused on his podcast. Look, I've went through his channel. He uploads like 1 podcast a week. If I had to take an educated guess, I'm pretty sure he just shows up once a week to record a pod and then he's out. He's not making the thumbnails, the titles, he's not editing those VODs, like the little clips that he does. I'm sure he does 1 episode and then he does everything else he has to do, like, you know, playing in the NBA. I think it's a lot different from Draymond Green, who would film a podcast literally right after the game. If you want to call that a distraction, I think that's completely fair to say. But what Paul George is doing, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And this is coming from a guy that is one of Paul George's biggest haters. Now, what I do think is a distraction is this man saying after a loss that he is bored playing the center position. After a game versus the New Orleans Pelicans, Paul George was asked about what was going on in the game, and he said this.
Fighting through screens, and, you know, to be honest, I'm bored, you know, playing and, you know, on a 5.
To have one of your top guys calling out the coaching staff while also playing like shit, that's just not a good look. Especially when you are the problem of this team. You are starting to become one of the weak links. So you might be asking, well, okay, if it's not podcasting, then why has Paul George been so bad? I'd clap louder, but I messed up my palm at work, so I can't really do that. But anyways, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of the year, so if you guys want to be a part of history, then subscribe to the channel. If you guys enjoy raw, unfiltered NBA content 3 times a week, then this is the perfect channel for you. And if you end up subscribing and you don't like the content, you can unsubscribe at any time. It is totally free to try it out. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I think you're gonna enjoy what's coming out. And before people ask me about this, yes, my Christmas tree is still up. I just forgot to take it down and I've been kind of lazy about it. But if this video gets 100 likes, then maybe I'll take it down. Honestly, it's probably going to be up for 2 more weeks and then eventually I'll remember to do it. But with all that being said, let's hop right back into the video. Nope, not going to do it. It's very simple. He's just not good anymore. The man is 34 years old and is never going to win a championship. I think he's at a point in his career where he doesn't care and now he's just collecting a bag because he doesn't show any effort. It doesn't seem like he cares. There's times in the offense where he's barely involved. I think we're just at a point in Paul George's career where slowly he's just gonna fizzle out of the league. I mean, it's funny, even when he does have a good game, it doesn't matter. For example, example, like last night, he had 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Oh, what a great performance, except it didn't matter because the team lost to the Orlando Magic. So even when he does have a good game every now and then, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna lie, I'm on the Real Sports app right now, and I'm just looking through some of the box scores. And I'll be honest, I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend. It seems like when Paul George has a really good game, the team ends up losing. So you mean to tell me this man is so bad that even when he does well, he's a negative to his team? So this man is just what, Tobias Harris if he was a podcaster? Like, I wish I could say, oh man, that sucks, but I kind of expected it because Paul George is not that good of a player anymore. He's not someone that's gonna help you win. There's a reason why Los Angeles just never did that well with him. Whenever Paul George joins a quote-unquote super team, it never leads to anything. At this point, I question where Philadelphia even goes from here because it's not like he's an easy contract that you want to get off. I think that Philadelphia is going to be the last team that Paul George does inevitably end up retiring with. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just telling you that I don't see another team in the NBA that is going to want to deal with this. Because look at this shit on the screen. Like this is pathetic. This man is getting stripped. This man is throwing up terrible shots. Even worse, he's clickbaiting his team's downfall. At this point, it's just laughable to talk about Paul George. It's just laughable to even think of this man as an important player. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, but Spex, you're being kind of harsh on him. He's an old man. He's having a couple bad games. He'll eventually bounce back. No, he won't. No, he won't. The fuck? I said it earlier, but I do believe that Paul George is the fourth option on this team, with it going Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Jared McCain, and then Paul George. Two of those players, Joel Embiid and Jared McCain, have missed a lot of time this year. So if my math serves me correctly, which usually it does, that would mean that Paul George is the second option on this team, at least for the time being. So you mean to tell me the second option on this team is scoring 13 points in 38 minutes while losing to a Phoenix Suns team that was in the middle of having a downward spiral? Oh, but y'all, you don't even want me to bring up the fact that he had 5 points in 38 minutes against the Hornets like 3 weeks ago. Oh, but Spex, he had 10 rebounds. I'd fucking hope so. He's 6'8". That is the only thing good that Paul George has done well this year. He's had a lot of games where he's had a good amount of rebounds, but that's about it. Like, congratulations, Pandemic P, you have been downgraded to Andre Drummond with a jump shot. And like, this is their second option. Like, what are we doing, y'all? I've said this multiple times in my videos, but usually this is the part of the video where I think of a solution. Maybe there's a way that Paul George can get back to playing well. And I'm sorry to say this, Sixers fans, but there's no hope for y'all. You're not gonna go on some kind of run where you end up making the playoffs, and if you do make the playoffs, it's gonna be because of the play-in tournament. Yeah, even if you do make the playoffs, that's not a good thing because you're not gonna win not one game. Look, in conclusion, y'all, PG 13%, Pandemic P, Pathetic P, Podcast P, whatever you want to call him, this man's career is unfortunately at the point in time where I just don't think he's good anymore. And overall, I think he's actually hurting the Sixers instead of being a benefit for them.
I kissed this girl I've liked since back when I was just a sophomore, but I'm afraid to text her what the fuck it takes so long for. What the fuck has changed? Is it swagger? Is it money? I still dress the fucking same, and my nose is still as ugly as the day you fucking met me.